Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Pretty Suited Podcast, where we discuss career, culture, and the commitment to being our best selves. I'm your host, Lauren A. First, I'd like to say Happy New Year to everybody. I know I have not been around for the past few months. I knew I was going to take a small break, but I did want to make sure that I had a vision in mind for the podcast in 2024. So I'm excited to be here. I did leave you guys with my last episode with creative therapist Ashley Johnson. I really enjoyed that episode. If you have not seen it, it is Pretty Suited Podcast episode 21, titled I Saw the Lady. And it's featuring Ashley Johnson. She was able to drop a lot of great gems regarding, wellness, growing, triggers, pretty much everything under the board. We talked a lot on that episode, so please check it out. I'm sure you enjoy it. But just a small recap of my holiday. I got a chance to spend a lot of good time with my family. I actually cooked. Yeah, this is my first Christmas hosting where I was cooking dinner as well as breakfast. So, I'm a big girl now. I'm so proud of myself because normally, you go to other people's houses for the holidays, and I feel like as we're growing older, we're kind of like in our late 20s and early 30s and whatnot. We're becoming the uncles and aunts and cousins that we go, people come to our house now because our elders, they tired. I saw a meme on Instagram, and it was basically like, we are the new aunts and uncles. Like, we need to be able to host a party, host a family gathering, set up a family reunion. Like, we are starting to get into the forefront of that. So it sounds kind of weird because I'm like, hold on, wait, I wasn't prepared for this, but, as life happens, life be happening. Now we have to step into these roles and actually execute. But I'm glad that the holidays are over. I can say this. I also did something pretty new this year. I did a digital vision board. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but I saw the cute idea on Instagram, and I was like, oh, I might like that. So the idea is, instead of you doing an actual vision board where you have like the triptych or the triptych. Oh shoot, that's a memory. That's a word I hadn't heard in a while. But poster board or cut out some magazines, stuff like that. That's a traditional way. But this year I was like, I'm not gonna do it that way. I decided to try the digital vision board way, which was you basically find different images and you kind of piece them together so that way you can have it as your wallpaper on your phone. And I thought that was pretty interesting because not only is it a lot easier, right? Because I didn't have to buy a bunch of old magazines and, glue and scissors and whatnot. But I was able to gather all the different images together pretty easily and put it on my background. And then I can always see it throughout the year. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like a constant reminder of, hey girl, this is your vision. This is what we talked about. Where are you in your goals? Like, that's kind of the idea that I thought about. So, and I pray that it comes true. I pray that everybody has a blessed and successful year this year. I'm super excited. We've already off to a big bang. Like, we're going to talk about this soon, but it's so much going on right now. Like, we're already off to a big bang. But our first topic today, in the spirit of 2024, in the spirit of the new year and everything like that, I really want to kind of talk about, what is your legacy? Like, when we talk about the new year, we always bring up our New Year's resolutions, things we want to see done, new year, new me. We got fad diets, Planet Fitness and Lifetime Fitness is flooded with people with New Year's goals to lose weight and all that good stuff. Everybody's trying to start off on a good foot. But I think as you grow older and you start to, kind of reflect on the year, you start to see family members, people growing up. Like, I had cousins that I'm talking about are 6 foot now. I was like, bro, you was just a baby, bow-legged. You know what I'm saying? With a rotten tooth. Like, I literally, I literally just saw you last year and you were a child. How are you 6 foot now? You know what I'm saying? So in the holidays, you're able to kind of see literally your family flourish or grow older, or things you start to see grandma, she's, slowing down, and you start to see people start to have girlfriends and wives and new babies. Like, all these different things start to happen, and you start to reflect. You're like, okay, where am I in this scenario? Like, what do I actually contribute to my surroundings? Like, how is my career going? Like, what have I done, to manifest a great career for myself? Like, what is all this looking like? And we start to ask ourselves these questions because I think biologically we start to think about our legacy. And I saw an interesting clip. I believe it was from a young woman called Amani Talks, where she basically was having a conversation with this guy about legacy. And, he was pretty much up in arms. Like, I cannot believe that you don't want to have children. I cannot believe that, you don't want to leave a legacy. That's selfish. That's so selfish. And her response was pretty much everything that I've been thinking about, but I really couldn't articulate in a way that came across not as like a bitch. So like, so what she said was, everybody wants to talk about legacy, but nobody really wants to talk about where they are in life and what they're doing to contribute to a legacy. They want to have children out of wedlock. Their financial situation is terrible. They're not good people. They haven't done the work, the self work or anything like that. They're having multiple children, and you want to call that legacy. That's not how this is supposed to go. Like, that's not the real conversation when you're talking about legacy. Legacy is truly what you have done for the world and how people have benefited from your presence here. You see what I'm saying? And if you think about, major billionaires and things like that, like, or even just somebody like Albert Einstein or something like that, who they've contributed such good works to the actual human existence, whether it was the creation of, Apple or technology or, scientific theory or things like that, to where, or even just good philanthropic work, helping the homeless and stuff like that. That is more of a legacy, more so than just the children that you had here while you were here. I feel like a valid point can be made that, you don't even know who Bill Gates' son or daughter is. If I walk right past Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or whomever, Gandhi, if I walk past their children in the street right now, I don't know if Gandhi had children, but anyway, if I walk past them in the street right now, I would have no idea who they were. Because yes, their parents did such tremendous works, but that's not their legacy. That's not the children's legacy. That's their parents' legacy. So your children could come out and be complete, sociopaths, somebody who's completely unmotivated, didn't do much for themselves. And that should not have anything to do with you and your legacy that you have left here on this world. That's their individual journey. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like, when we really have a conversation, don't confuse legacy with lineage. Lineage is literally your offspring, the family, the community that you have cultivated, whether through blood or not. That's more of a lineage situation where that has direct ties to you. That's not the same thing as legacy. And in the conversations, we always make a joke about, when you go to some kind of family event and they're always asking you about, well, when you gonna pop out another baby, when you're gonna get married, when you're gonna, and you hear these conversations during the family functions and whatnot. However, that should not have much influence on your actual decision to have a kid or actual decision to start a family. I feel like what you have going on. That, hey, I got some stuff that I might need to handle before somebody calls me daddy or somebody calls me mommy. I probably need to maybe go seek help or, sort out my mental health, sort out my financial well-being, all these things, maybe go back to school, whatever the case may be, so that I can set my lineage up for the best circumstance. You know what you need to do, and you know how you should go about executing it. And the peer pressures that you face from other people's expectations can almost lead you down the wrong path in a lot of times. And also too, you are in love with a person, you know, your guys become intimate, but then all of a sudden you have a kid. Well, while that may not have been your plan, you can now, your mind should kind of just switch on to where it's like, okay, whatever I was doing prior to this child coming into this world, I might have to reevaluate some things. I may have to say, okay, now it's not all about me. Now it's about my kid and what I'm doing for the world and what I'm leaving behind for that kid. You see what I'm saying? Versus it just being, well, I want to have a baby because, you know, so on and so forth. My grandma wants me to have a kid, or my mom wants me to have a kid, or my friends are having kids, so I should have one too. No. That's a recipe for disaster, because a lot of times that comes with you being unprepared. And when that child actually gets here, you might be in a jacked up situation. So I feel like I really enjoyed that conversation that Amani Talks had, because it kind of put a different perspective on the modern woman. Because a lot of times, you know, there's women these days who don't even want children, and that's okay. And because I think that they may be focused more so on their own legacy, or they just may not even want to take on the role as being a mom. But society has got to stop, you know, with this whole legacy conversation, and the people who are mainly the ones talking about it don't have a pot to piss in or when to throw it out of, and they're mentally, socially, and emotionally unhealthy. We got to stop that, okay? And then also too, I feel like in the Western world, we don't even really carry that same proudness and things like that when we're really talking about our family. For example, like I was rewatching Bridgerton, and you know, I know it's a TV show. Shout out to Shonda Rhimes, because that's a great TV show, and the spinoff too, with the Queen and everything. That was fantastic. But anyway, that TV show kind of got me to thinking, or reminded me of how important your family name was. One thing I can say about my dad personally is that my dad did a fantastic job of always instilling in us what the family name means. Now, let me be kind of careful here, because that can kind of turn into a little weird when the family name is trash, but you talking about it like it's just some big deal. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, you know, making sure you kind of set a standard for your lineage, that, you know, you come from good stock, right? You see what I'm saying? So like, for when we talk about Bridgerton, it's always, when they get introduced into a room, it was always, you know, Ferdinand, son of so-and-so, or the girl who was the daughter of this Lord so-and-so. And African families do this too. I feel like, you know, your name, your surname, your last name, usually meant something in those times, whether you were trying to get into an industry, whether you were in school. You know, when they saw that last name, they were like, oh, I know where you come from. I know what kind of stock you come from. And that usually preceded you before you even stepped into the room. You see what I'm saying? And in Western culture now, we don't even have that. In small towns, maybe there still might be a little thing where it was like, oh, well, I taught your aunt, and I taught your cousin, and I taught your brother, or something like that. And that's usually small towns, because usually it's more, you know, less people. You run into the same families over and over again. But in larger cities or in things like that, that's not even a thing anymore. So I kind of want to bring back, like, let's bring that back. Even you can start right now with your immediate family. You can start right now with your firstborn, or whatever the case may be. Our name is going to mean something, not necessarily expectations, because again, that could get a little tricky, because, you know, we're our own people. But I think some effort should be made into being prideful of your name and your legacy and your lineage. Not to where it's unhealthy, of course, but to where, the expectation is set that greatness is what we do. We're loving, we're supportive of each other, we are kind to one another, we love one another, we got each other's back, and we do great things in the world. So I think that that's not a bad tradition to start back, honestly, because the way this world's going, people don't have no shame about anything that they do. They really don't have any kind of long-term goals because it was never really set in the beginning. So when we talk about legacy, I gotta bring up the recent headlines that we've experienced. And 2024 has already started off with a bang. If you haven't seen it already, I don't understand what's going on your timeline, but it's been all over my timeline, the Katt Williams and Shannon Sharpe interview, where Katt Williams, who we all know is a hilarious comedic legend. He's been in a ton of our classic films in the Black community, whether it was Friday, whether it was, My Wife and Kids, the TV show, just a plethora of things. And he also has iconic stand-ups that we still quote to this day. Okay. Well, in Club Shay Shay, which is Shannon Sharpe's podcast, Katt Williams, the cat is out the bag. Okay. Katt Williams ripped everybody in the comedic atmosphere pretty much a new one. He was not holding back the feelings that he has been feeling, obviously, for a very long time. He was not holding back. He told, stories about Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Ricky Smiley. I'm talking about comedy legends. He's basically went off on them on a lot of different things that I guess they wronged him in the past on. So whether it's, talk about Steve Harvey stealing TV shows from Mark Curry, Cedric Entertainer stealing jokes from him, Ricky Smiley trying to, talk bad about him and steal his role for the Friday After Next movie, all these things. He just basically laid it out. He talked about Bernie Mac, D.L. Hughley, Gary Owens, Martin Lawrence, literally everybody. He was just naming names like down the list. But I really wanted to bring this up, not just because it was messy, because it was, but I wanted to bring this up because I think that when we're talking about legacy, we're entering a new age and a new era where history is starting to rewrite itself. So we always hear about how, legendary stories go and things like that. But then a couple years later, the cat is out the bag, no pun intended. And now that story has changed. It's not what we thought. That person was the villain in the story and all things like that. And it can kind of mess up the legacy of that person. You see, I wouldn't say he necessarily demolished or ruined the legacy of those comedic, legends, but he kind of poked it a little bit. He kind of let the air out the balloon a little bit, honestly, for a lot of people. Now, not for me in particularly, because I'm not going to just let one statement by one person and one particular time ruin that whole person's career. We're not going to do that. We're not going to sit up here and just say Steve Harvey is completely worthless, he should be canceled, or anything like that. We're not going to do that. Because he also did put a lot of work and time and effort into this whole career that has obviously been like 30 plus years. Okay. Same thing with Cedric the Entertainer. Same thing with Ricky Smiley. Although they may have had a few disputes and moments here and there, we're not going to discredit their whole career. Okay, so let me just start by saying that. However, for the layperson or the newer generation, the legacies probably are a little tarnished, just a little bit, just based off of what this individual has said. And so, things can kind of come to a complete tumble in a nanosecond. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at Jonathan Majors. Like, he was on the rise to being literally the biggest Marvel character in the MCU universe. But in a moment, just based off of a decision, it just is totally gone, at least for a brief second, it's gone. And so I'm not saying that they can't rebuild it, but unfortunately it has been tarnished. So I just want us to be a little bit mindful when we start talking about cancel culture and writing people off and things like that. We don't want to do that too quickly, because that totally negates all of the hard work that these people have put into their careers. And while it could be like a little bookmark in there, it shouldn't just be completely trashed like that. I just don't think that that's right. I think that that totally dismisses, people's hard work. I just don't think that that's right. So, I think 2024, this cancel culture that we have going on, let's just be a little bit more graceful, I would say, when it comes to that. Now, if they doing some real scumbag stuff, then by all means, they gotta go. However, if it's just something that probably can be, corrected with an apology or something like that, then you definitely should not be canceling, that whole person and their whole career. Because honestly, you wouldn't want that being done to you. Like, let's be honest here. People who live regular lives, they do messed up things all the time. You stole that, bag of chips the other day. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody caught you and they discovered that you stole that bag of chips or that pen out your office or whatever the case may be, and they told you, wrote you off and fired you and things like that for something like that, you would be mad, right? Absolutely. So don't do that to other people. That's all I'm saying. So our next topic today too goes somewhat along the lines of when we're talking about being intentional in our lives in 2024, is making space. And when I say making space, I'm not necessarily literally cleaning out, space in your house and whatnot. I'm not talking about that. What I am talking about is, I heard a sermon from a pastor in the past couple of weeks, and the message was regarding letting things go, right? And so biblically, of course, we can get into it about how the people of Egypt, I believe that they were traveling 40 days, 40 nights and all things like that, but they just would not want to let go of the idols that they had prior to them leaving, Egypt. And how that was hindering them from really getting to the promises that God had for them. And I feel like a lot of that can be literally applied to us in the modern day world. So like whether it is activities that we're doing, whether it's the, unhealthy lifestyles that we're living, smoking, drinking, eating terribly. Like again, with the holidays, I know I was pies, cakes, and cannolis and whatnot. And I honestly felt myself getting sluggish. I felt myself feeling ill and full and things like that because of what I was consuming and holding on to. And so, that's why in January, everybody starts to detox and things like that, because we kind of want to let all of that stuff go and get rid of it, out of our bodies so that we can start off fresh. And so in saying that, what are you afraid of letting go? Is it people? Is it a lifestyle? Is it a job? Is it all these things to make space for what it is that you really want in your life, right? I was talking with a friend and they mentioned something about wanting to have a relationship in 2024. And while that's great, I think that that's fantastic. That person in particular doesn't really make space for a man to be in their life. Okay, like I hate to say it, and I because I've been here too. I literally just started to kind of like move some things around not too long ago. But in the conversation that we were having, I kind of thought to myself, and I even said this to her. I was like, what are you doing to actually make room for that man to be in your life? You have your own stuff, which is fine, right? You got your own car, home, your career is popping, all of that good stuff. you are active in your family's life. You keep a busy schedule. You have a lot of friends that you're very active with and things like that. You're part of organizations, all that good stuff, and that's fine. It's the same can be applied to men. When you have all the things that you desire, you've kind of set and cultivated a life for yourself. A lot of times, companionship can interrupt that. And nobody wants to talk about how a lot of times people self-sabotage situations, possible situations with potential, suitors because they don't want their life interrupted. I know I'm stepping on toes. I know. But I kind of wanted to bring this up because, we really can get caught up in our own space, our own timeline, our own schedules, our own, friendship groups, our own, whatever routines that anything that disrupts that is absolutely a no-no. You dismiss it from your life. As soon as something small happens, you're like, oh, this disrupted my peace. They gotta go. It's like, hold on, wait. You said that you wanted companionship. That other person is going to come with their own life. They're going to come with their own schedules, their own routines, their own family history, their own trauma. So as you guys come together, you may have to sort these things out together. It's not going to be just a little, they're not just a little placeholder in your life and then now everything's hunky-dory. No, they have their own set of things. So you have to take it upon yourself, I believe, to say, okay, what exactly is something that I can compromise on and what can I compromise on? Because if you plan on having a long, healthy relationship with another person, your lives are gonna have to merge in some kind of way. And you have to be okay and comfortable with that. If you're not, if the idea of that literally just makes you nauseous, you may not be ready for a relationship. I'm just saying, I feel like, we have to be real in 2024. We have to be realistic. And I'm talking about whether it is, that person is a morning person, you're an evening person. That person likes the air cold in the house and you like it hot. That person has a crazy family member that you don't really like, but you go over there because, you want to be supportive of their family functions. Whatever it is, you can't just dismiss anything that doesn't fit into your cookie cutter life, because if that's the case, you're going to miss out on a lot of great people, whether it's a potential partner, friendships, or career, whatever. You kind of have to adjust a little bit, be flexible a little bit in your ideas of what companionship looks like. There may be even a time in your marriage that once the wedding is done, once the honeymoon phase is over, and that person gets sick, their illness actually inconvenience you. What are you going to do? You're just gonna say, "Oh well, shoot, you got your leg is broken. I can't deal with that. You're gonna have to find a way up the stairs. You're gonna have to do that yourself." Like that's a totally unrealistic. You cannot go through a successful and a healthy marriage that way. So I think as we kind of tune in into our lives this year, really ask yourself, have you made space for the things that you actually want in your life? And are your expectations realistic? Because if not, then that's okay. You may just have to pause, take a break, and heal and actually try to make room for the things you actually want. Because if not, you can have your schedules and your routine and all that good stuff, but you may maybe do it alone. And okay, and that's okay. But and a lot of times our decision making when it comes to not wanting people to come into our lives is oftentimes based off of fear. It's based off of being afraid to be vulnerable. That person having an influence, that person having the power to change something in the circle that we have cultivated for ourselves. And that can be kind of scary if you're not used to it. i.e. people who have been single for a very long time. You know, they have literally created a bubble for themselves of friends, family, career, their actual personal space and where they live, all these things. And so a person coming into that, disrupting that, it can be very scary. And a lot of times that isolation is based off of trauma. So, anybody coming in that is remotely interested, you are dismissing them because of your trauma. So what kind of lens are you viewing life from? Are you viewing life from, people are out to hurt you? Are you viewing life from, well, nobody's no good, they gonna cheat and things like that? Are you viewing life from, well, they're gonna walk on my life anyway, so I'd rather not have them there? Are you viewing life from, they're gonna manipulate me, they're gonna cheat on me? Like, what does your lens look like when it comes to that? Is your lens coming from, you don't want to get attached, so you kind of, as a self-defense mechanism, you keep everybody at bay? I've seen that happen too. So just be mindful of the lens you're viewing from, because there's a difference between comfort and isolation, right? Just because you are setting a personal space and boundaries with their loved ones and things like that, it can creep right on into isolation, to where now you are not being vulnerable and not having solid and genuine relationships with people because of the fear and the lens that you're viewing life from. It's just thought, I thought that was kind of interesting when I was having a conversation with my friend, because this was her year to find a man, and this was her year to, be in a relationship. But in the meantime, she really hasn't given people much space to really be a part of her life. So, you might want to check that out in 2024. So now we're going to get into our watch list of the week. So this week's watches of the week comes from a movie that I'm kind of old on. It has been out for a little bit, but I just now saw it over the weekend, and that's the movie Barbie. So Barbie came out last year, and while it was a really big buzz at the time, I want to say it was over the summer, they had to kind of pause on a lot of marketing because of the, SGA strike, the writer's strike and everything in Hollywood. But I finally saw it, and I'm gonna be honest with you. It started off cute. It did. I really enjoyed how they tied it into our childhood, and how they were able to kind of make it literally look like a dollhouse or a Barbie universe almost, and able to see the diversity of the Barbies, all that. That was pretty nostalgic, honestly. But as the movie kind of progressed, I would say that it didn't necessarily live up to the big hype. To me, it didn't live up to the big hype as I thought it would. But I will say that there were some great gems dropped when it came to how women view themselves, and kind of like the cookie cutter image of what we have been raised to believe. And kind of you challenging that, or being challenging the status quo on that, as a woman with a mind who can think and things like that. I thought that was a really good message, especially when it comes to, expectations and stuff like that. But yeah, the movie itself, it was cool. But it's something that I watched this week that I thought that, just put a different perspective on the Barbie image. So check it out. I believe it's on HBO Max. That's where I saw it, I believe. But check it out. And it has my girl Robbie in it. She was in Birds of Prey and the Suicide Squad, and she was in Focus with Will Smith. I really, really like her as an actress. I think she's pretty quirky. And I really like her acting style. Also, my girl Issa Rae was in there. I'm supporting Issa Rae. She was actually president of the Barbie universe. So that was really cool to see. So check it out. It's pretty good. Now let's get into our tune of the week. So this week's tune of the week is about a group that I discovered not too long ago, actually, and they're called Wanmore. So basically, these young men are the offspring of Wanye from Boyz II Men. And let me tell you, every last single one of them is extremely talented. And they have been singing for a while together in this group called Wanmore. And they've done their own original music. But recently, these gentlemen covered one of Boyz II Men's best song, in my opinion. And that is Please Don't Go. And Please Don't Go, let me tell you something. That is a classic to me. I play it still in my playlist today. It is a timeless classic. And their version did not disappoint. I'm going to be honest with you. Their version was really good. Of course, the harmonies were on point. And I think they're also being developed by Mary J. Blige. I think she's having like her own record label or something like that. So they're part of that. But in their Instagram videos and Instagram reels, it shows them in the studio with Mary. And when I tell you these guys and how they constructed the song and put it together, they did their thing. And I've been playing it since I heard it last week. It has been on repeat. I love good R&B. Let's bring back good R&B in 2024. Let's bring back boy groups. Let's bring back girl groups. Let's bring back harmonies. Like, I'm sick and tired, honestly. I am so sick and tired of the kind of sleepy sound that was very vibey and things like that. While it does hold a place in my heart on some occasions, sometimes you just want a good chill vibe type music. That's great. But we should have variety. And I really grew up on 90s and early 2000s and even 80s and 70s R&B, and I really miss the feeling, the warmth that comes with it, that allows you to feel vulnerable, it allows you to feel soft, and allows you to want to be in love. And we need more of that in 2024. So I appreciate Juan Moore for stepping out and doing a cover of their dad's song. Now, I don't know if they're and their dad is cool. I don't know how that goes. I haven't really seen Wanye shout them out or be a part of the promotion or their lives like that. But I will say that they got the talent honest, because they did not disappoint. They sound amazing, and they did a really good job on this song, Please Don't Go. So check it out. It's called Please Don't Go by Wanmore. And while you're there, you can go ahead and listen to the original for Boyz II Men as well, because that one still slaps. So thank you guys for tuning in for another episode. This has been fun. I'm super excited to start the year off and to record more. If you guys have any thoughts or ideas of guests you would like to see me interview or be a part of, feel free to leave a comment down below. Engage as well. I like to hear what you got to say. And as always, you cannot manifest anything you don't feel worthy of. So create the life that you want and look to the sky for grace. See you guys next time. Bye.